Hey guys, and welcome. As you can see on my screen, I've converted myself into some glorious Khorne Berserker armor. Quite hard to move all these limbs around as a little old duck, but I shall make do. But it is in fact Papa Palpatine who's going to be in charge of the force of Khorne today on one of my favourite maps from Warhammer 3, taking on a Nurgle adversary in a game of domination. Really excited to delve into this one. Let's get started. For the forces of the mighty Khorne, we do have a bucket ton of Chaos Warriors of Khorne dual weapons. I don't know why they're not just called Khorne Berserkers. I definitely see them completely as Khorne Berserkers. So that's kind of what I'm going to be just, I guess, stating they are. But yeah, the dual weapons, very, very powerful indeed at ripping apart all things Nurgle. They are amazing against both Nurgle and Slaanesh, I found. Good against pretty much the entirety of their rosters, apart from, of course, the Great Demon of Nurgle, who's a pain for any infantry. We've got some more dual weapons on this side and some Gorebeast Chariots mixed in with Flesh Hounds. Haven't seen too much of Gorebeast Chariots in Game 3, so pretty excited to see how they perform. Up in the skies, you have some Chaos Furies who are chevroned up, and an Exalted Bloodthirst. Now, this Exalted Bloodthirst has to be careful. He's not the biggest bag of this demon in the realms today. Let's be going down and falling on to the Exalted Great Unclean One. This bad boy can literally solo almost anything. He is so disgustingly powerful. And alongside him is double Cultists of Nurgle. They're going to help support each other really nicely and bring some summons. A load of Plague Bearers of Nurgle. We've got some hibbity-hobbity toads in the back, load of Nurglings being summoned, and a mighty Soul Grinder. It looks like we had one unit of Nurglings moving out to that objective on objective number 3. Definitely want to pull those guys back. There's no way one unit of Nurglings can take on 3 units of dual weapons, even in those wildest RNG dreams. Simply fall back with these guys and move them to safety is definitely the best option. Now, the middle is certainly going to be all Nurgle to start. If they have significantly more forces, her Nurglings will be moving up to Objective 1. There are some Flesh Hounds lurking, though, and awaiting their arrival. Bit of a mistake from the Exiled Bloodthirster here. He doesn't really have any way of re-healing himself. So he dives down, attempts to get some damage on the Soul Grinder, but honestly he takes nearly as much damage himself, and of course is much more vital to the Khorne forces than that Soul Grinder is going to be to the mighty Nurglings. And it looks like the Exotic Grey and Clean One has met the challenge of this Bloodthirster, man-to-man, Nurgling to Khorne Warrior. And it looks like the mighty Khorne Warrior is going to be fleeing to try to save his own skin. I do not blame him. 2 Cultists plus an Exotic Grey and Clean One, that's going to hit pretty damn hard. Now, you can see the Soul Grinder lining up some shots, and he's popping them down range, aiming at these dual weapons where possible, realizing they're going to be quite a big threat to Nurgle in general. Looks like we also have some Gorebeast Chariots awaiting in the middle. Not really sure which way to go. I definitely like this idea of floating up to Objective 1 and taking on the Nurglings in a bit of a fisticuff fight and using the Chaos Furies to save them from the wrath of the Nurgle ones. The Bloodthirster does indeed manage to get back up into the skies, which is certainly some good news. He did manage to drag the Exalted Great and Clean One and Cultists out of position, at least momentarily. They have been able to form back up and form into some nice, juicy Blueburris ranks there. And it looks like the Chaos Warriors of Khorne are going to be falling back to try to save their own skins from the long-range pressure of the Soul Grinder. Double dual weapons are going to be holding the fort down on Objective 3. They're about to start capturing that in 5 seconds. We definitely like to see one of these dual weapons move over towards the middle to apply a bit of pressure, because, yeah, there's very little the Nurgle forces are going to be able to do to sneak up on this objective and overwhelm double dual weapons quickly. They're phenomenal at killing anything which doesn't have massive armor. Of course, Nurgle, not famous for their armor, unfortunately. We have some Exotic Bloodletters. Oh, hell yeah, I love Exotic Bloodletters. They're so rock and roll and badass. Going to be moving up to this objective number 1. Looking to apply a little bit of pressure there. And it seems though Nurgle are going to be able to get there just a bit beforehand. Gorebeast Chariots doing a decent job running over Nurglings. Up to only 1 kill so far, though. And in come the Exotic Bloodletters. However, it looks like this is just how going to go. Yep, there we go, into the hands of Nurgle. But it won't be for too long if the Exiled Bloodletters have anything to say about it, but a large contingent of the Nurgling reserves are getting moved over towards Objective 1 to help contest it. Objective 3 is in the hands of Khorne right now. Flesh Hounds moving up, and we have some dual weapons still hiding in the trees. Double Bloodletters have been summoned. That's a lot of pressure they can start to apply to that central portion of the battlefield if they so deem it. Gorebeast Chariots doing a decent job down here, as are the Exotic Bloodletters just carving their way through the enemy. They're really going to start racking up those kills rather quickly. Nurglings, not the greatest targets in the world. They've only got 60 models on them, despite the fact they look like they have so much more, and that's because a lot of these little Nurglings are clumped together. And probably better actually going up against something like Forsaken, where they can really get those numbers up and start getting that base bonus kind of passive prop in, which I believe is called Hellblade. There we go. Once they get 80 kills, they increase their base weapon damage and armor piercing, which of course is nice and lovely. So definitely want them on Forsaken at all times if possible. Corby's Chariot's doing decent work. I love the fact the Bloodthirster has come over to this flank to engage with the Soul Grinder. Should be able to drag down the beastie if he can land. He's currently flying on the spot now, which in its own right is also pretty impressive. Fleshhounds as well as Furies attempt to stop some of the reinforcements getting onto this point, but it looks like it's still well and truly in Nurgle's hands, and the Bloodthirster is still struggling to land. There we go. Finally, he puts his mighty hooves down. Should be able to get to grips now with that Soul Grinder rather comfortably. Objective 3 is just completely uncontested. Double dual weapons over there. They're going to hold that fort all day long. In the mid, though, we have some dual weapons and spawn being summoned. Bloodlets attempting their best to drag down the Plague Bearers. Plague Bearers, though, they're super tanky and should be able to endure a solid amount of this damage. There looks like the Bloodlets who are the ones who are suffering the most right now due to the Exotic Grand Clean One coming in here. But combination of dual weapons floating over from that passive objective to get onto this active one on number 2 should be enough, alongside some more dual weapons and hopefully some Fury support to capture objective 2 here. Bloodlets are carving their way through the Hippity-Hoppities rather effectively, with the Battle of the Furies up in the skies, just bumping, grinding, and having a whale of a time. Of course, Nurgle just quite so happy to be spraying plague to other people, and Khorne quite happy just to be fighting and scrapping. They're very greenskin-like in that manner. Exotic Bloodthirster had a bit of a rocky start, but he's been performing pretty damn good so far. I like his mobility, which he grants you, which is something Scarbrand, of course, does lack. Though Scarbrand can go toe-to-toe with the big, great demons a little bit better. So the Gorby's Chariots have been at it all day long so far, so only up to 20 kills. They can support the Exotic Bloodletters here, who are up to 75 themselves. Pretty impressive work. Now grinding through Forsaken, the perfect target for them, doing some lovely damage as the Bloodthirster attempts to wrestle the situation from Nurgle, but this objective is still well and truly in their hands. Middle is being hotly contested, however, but the Exalted Grand Clean One 1000% is going to be getting some disgusting value this game, as he always does. Surrounded by infantry like this is a wet dream. However, he doesn't have the best capture weight, so the infantry should be able to grind through the Plague Bearers here. At least you would hope. Let's get some nice close-up shots of these Berserkers. Blood for the Blood God. Skulls for the Skull Thrones, hacking and cleaving their way into their enemy. Those of you who didn't notice it, by the way, there has been a roadmap dropped for Total War Warhammer 3 with the promises of a Blood DLC to come, which I'm very excited to get that, particularly just for playing Khorne, because I think it's a nice and thematic. You can see the Hellblade has been summoned from the realms of Khorne, imbuing the Exotic Bloodthirsters with a rage to hack, slash, and kill. And with the Fleshhounds in tow, they should be able to drive down the Plague Bearers on this objective. With the cultists here supporting, bringing summons in, shutting down the Bloodthirster and going after him, doing some pretty decent damage. He's down to half HP now. This objective still seems like it's going to be Nurgle for the foreseeable future. The middle, however, has now been held by Khorne, which is a big boon, because they are behind about double on the tickets here. It looks like the Nurglings as well as the Toads will be getting dragged down by a mixture of Bloodletters, Furies, and Fleshhounds, a deadly trio for sure. And the Fleshhounds are so cost-effective, man. I really think they're one of the best units in the game still. Spawn of Khorne are jumping on top of the Plague Bearers and dragging them down. They're attempting to go toe-to-toe with the Exotic Grand Clean One. But unless you have someone like a Scarbrand, maybe like 16 skull cannons shooting this thing, it just does not die. It is so goddamn tanky. Up to 61 kills already 2,100 gold value. It has 7,400 HP still, and plenty of room for regeneration. Now, the dual weapon warriors, a little bit lucky there to survive a misclick from the Nurgle player, are going to be carving apart the Plague Bearers and overwhelm them, helping secure this objective even more firmly for the forces of Khorne. They are running out of troops in the middle a little bit. Doesn't look like the Bloodthirster is going to commit for a snipe fight here. Goes down after the Exotic Grand Clean One. Get back here, boy. Whips him, breathes fire in his face, and laughs at his less than stellar warrior body type. But hey, the Exotic Grand Clean One doesn't give a damn. He's not about body shaming. He's here to kill all, and he slaps some spawn before eating some doggos and then going after the rather ripped Exalted Bloodthirster here. He'll heal himself up as he does so, and he's certainly not going anywhere. Laughs at the Bloodthirster's petty attempts to taunt him and sends him packing once more. Objective 1, though, looking like it may start to fall into the hands of Khorne. We have double Fleshhounds here and more Bloodletters popping up. This is the potential for a nasty, nasty mid-game triple cap. This is just when you want to be triple capping your opponent as well. They're not really going to get much comeback bonus from this, and yeah, it's going to be applying a load more pressure to the Nurgle forces. However, they've answered in kind. We have 2 Nurglings here. We have the Cultister Nurgle and some more Nurglings on the way. I think this objective may still yet be held by the force of Nurgle. What's it going to cost them? They're still going to be trading it downwards there in combat prowess. Nurglings are moving forward towards the middle. We've got some Furies being summoned as well. So the Bloodletter is unfortunately losing this fight down here against the mighty Exalted Great Unclean One, which is not good for him. The Bloodthirster is trying his heart out. It looks like he has been slowed and poisoned. He feels the curse of the slug seep in his strength, and his fury is even dampened a little bit as he attempts to retreat here. Blightstorm pops on him, lowers his melee defense to a rather pitiful 26. Plus the poison on top of that really does mean the Exotic Great Unclean One and the Furies are going to be ripping and tearing bloody chunks of flesh off his skeletal frame. And look at this. The Exotic Great Unclean One, Shadow of Chads, is doing some fantastic damage, and the Bloodthirster, known in the world as one of the greatest destroyers of mankind, beaten by a beautiful Exotic Great Unclean One who's not even at his healing cap yet. Bloodthirster flees up into the skies. Forsaken have now done a daring push into the middle with Nurglings and Exalted Plaguebearers. Looks like this is now going to be a 2-to-1 cap for the forces of Nurgle. If they can hold on to Objective 1, which they're struggling to do, they're actually starting to lose it. The Cultists will do good damage, but they need to be saturated in with homies. Those hounds have been popped forwards to intercept Nurglings before they can get onto that objective. Top tier play there by Palpatine, as you would expect. The Sword of Cain did descend from the sky, did decent damage to the Exotic Bloodbearers. It does... or Exotic Plague Bearers, I should say, not Blood Bearers, that's kind of a weird one. But it does do underwhelming damage and impact, I would say, as one of like the their top tier ability. I'd like to see it a little bit buffed, I think. The Spawn of Khorne are ripping 10 into the Furies, continue to try to fight the Exotic Great Unclean One, who's parked his bootay on the middle objective and just hasn't gone anywhere all day long. Chaos Warriors of Khorne dual weapons are going to go full Berserker in the middle. We have so many Berserkers on the battlefield today. It's pretty cool to see. Many are being forced off, though. Objective 1 is currently being held by Nurgle, but it is slowly turning more and more into the favour of Khorne. But what's it going to cost them? Probably the Exotic Bloodthirster here. He does bring his Deathbringer into action and is trying to take down these pesky cultists. In fact, he does terrify one, but his brother is shanking him merry style in the back of the Witch King's leg to try to drag him down. The Flesh Hounds of the goodest of boys will be able to beat back the Exotic Bloodthirster. Now, Bloodlets are nearby fighting. How this objective will probably start to fall relatively soon, with more Forsaken circumventing the Flesh Hounds. And look at this play by the Khorne player, pinning in 3 units of Nurglings. That is so much capture weight not being moved. They definitely need to move 1 unit up and around, but it's so tough with slow Nurgle against the fast-paced Flesh Hounds, who now move forward as well to intercept the Forsaken and stop them getting on the objective. It is getting rather tight objective-wise, or ticket-wise, I should say. 4,200 tickets to Nurgle, 3,760 to Khorne. Middle objective is still well and truly Nurgle, though. The Exotic Great Unclean One fighting here. Plus, we've got Plague Bearers here, Exalted ones, in fact, Forsaken, Nurglings. It's going to be a tough scrap for sure. We do have the Exotic Bloodletters here, up to 160 kills. They do receive the Blight Swarm, though, which is really bad news for them. Lowering that melee defense when you're touching a unit like Forsaken. We're currently also getting healed, by the way. But, yeah, Forsaken are big damage dealers, so if they can lower their melee defense, they're really going to trade upwards against these Exalted Bloodletters. But again, the AP should allow them to circumvent a lot of the Forsaken's defenses at the same time. Middle objective, though, is starting to fall in favour of the mighty Khorne. Objective 1 is, however, going back in the hands of Nurgle. A very crazy back-and-forth game so far. Really impressed. And Objective 3, just nothing's happened. Objective 3, there's been 2 Berserkers on babysitting duty, and they're not too happy about this. They have between them 0 and 0 kills. Sitting out of the fight the entire day. I don't mind this, though. Having 2 units there really does just completely mean Nurgle are not going to go over there, because they can't jump it quickly. And they're going to be really fine for the other 2 objectives, giving Khorne, of course, the bonus of always having that 1 objective in the back pocket. Very close ticket-wise. The middle objective is still Nurgle favored at the moment. Looks like they are able to really capture that. Objective 1 is still being held at the moment by Khorne, but now finally the Nurglings are freed up from their fleshy imprisonment from the Flesh Hounds and are able to move up onto the objective. They need to try and force path their way on, and it looks like they are starting to actually cap objective number 1, but is it too little too late? Very close. 4,700 tickets roughly for both players at the moment. As more Nurglings get these Forsaken, they're knackered, they're winded. Get them on the objective. Yeet forwards. Leroy Jenkins style. It is the only way to victory here. We have Fury swooping in. They can't capture objectives, but they can kill units which can capture, hopefully allowing the Nurglings to overwhelm the enemy, because the Bloodletters with the Horn of Khorne, though, a lawnmowing Nurglings left and right. Every swing of their evil blades decapitates many of our beautiful Nurgling babies. Objective 2 is Nurgle. Objective 3 is Khorne, but so is Objective 1 here. And it is going to be a glorious victory for the forces of Khorne and the mighty Papa Palpatine, who's been a supporter of the channel for a very long time. So, a really awesome dude. And I recently celebrated my 3-year anniversary on YouTube, and he's been around, I think, probably since the first, 3 months, maybe first 6 months or something like that. So it's always cool to see these players still sending in replays, and you can do that as well if you join my Discord. There's a link down below. Well played to these two lads. The Bloodthirster, nice play with his mobility, getting 3,000 value, but the Exotic Rain Clean one just... I've spoken about him in many replays before, and he still, to this day, remains, in my opinion, by far and away the best unit on the Nurgle roster. That does not mean you can take him in every matchup, though. He's a big, slow, slumberous, expensive beastie, and of course, cannons and so on can really tear him to pieces. But yeah, 4.8k gold value. Mwah. Lovely work from him, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a big old fat thumbs up and subscribe for content into the future. Both things really help me continue to keep the channel afloat and going in these, it's been a rough time after the Warhammer 3 release, of course, but luckily now have a roadmap. We've got a lot of things to look forward to, which I'm very excited about, and likewise, leave a comment down below what you thought of the battle and what you're most excited about on that roadmap that they released. Immortal Empires is definitely my favourite thing. The fact they're doing a beta for it doesn't upset me as much as it upsets other people, because I would honestly rather they release it early in not the best state than waiting even longer to get my hands on my glorious Lizmen boyos again. But I understand people are, scared of that as well and hoping that it's not too buggy. I really do hope we can play ranked at the same time as having the beta on. There's loads of links, by the way, down below in the description to Twitch, Patreon, and Discord. If you're interested in those type of things, you can check them out. Patreon's where you can support the channel financially. Twitch is where I occasionally do other streams. I've been slacking on that recently. I'm a very, occasional Twitch streamer. And Discord's where you can submit replays and get involved in live streams and events and just say quack. Until next time, guys, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.